Good evening and thank you for joining us tonight for KREM 2 News 10 at 10, where we give you more news in less time. I'm Cody Proctor. Let's get started. WSDOT is officially on notice. The Spokane City Fire Marshal says the cooling tent set up on their property near Interstate 90 and Freya is illegal. So he sent a letter to the department requesting they take it down. KREM 2's Amanda Rowley explains the situation tonight.
Well, this cooling tent went up on Wednesday, and on the same day, this letter went out to WSDOT from the Spokane City Fire Marshal, and it says the tent is an illegal structure, and since WSDOT is the property owner, it is responsible for removing the tent or getting the proper permits. Now, Jules Helping Hands set up the tent. It has fans, misters, and just last night, they added air conditioners. WSDOT is aware of the cooling tent, and while the agency does not allow camping on its land, officials say they don't want someone to have a medical emergency on their property. Spokane Fire Marshal Lance Dahl told me temporary structures such as tents with sides and measuring at least 400 square feet require a permit. The cooling tent is almost 2,000 square feet, and Jules Helping Hands does not have a permit for it. City Council President Brian Beggs told me he notified City Council members that the cooling tent was going up at the request of the fire chief. Now he says he's just trying to untangle the bureaucratic issues that have popped up as a result.
My goal is to solve the bureaucratic issues so that we can get to the substance of it. And in the meantime, the tent will still provide cooling services to the people who need it, which is great because we don't want to have people with health issues due to the heat if possible. So I'm glad that's happening.
Now, WSDOT and the Department of Commerce released a joint statement this afternoon responding to the fire marshal's letter, saying they will not take action to remove the cooling center during this extreme weather. In the meantime, WSDOT and the Department of Commerce say it will continue to review other local proposals submitted by the city last week and allow nonprofit organizations to continue helping individuals in need. Now, the letter from the fire marshal says WSDOT has to remove this tent by 9 a.m. on Monday. If not, WSDOT could get a civil infraction of $536 for every day the cooling tent is left up. Amanda Rowley, KREM 2 News.
Amanda, thank you so much. In the meantime, time to take a break from the headlines and turn over now to weather. We have been experiencing the triple-digit heat for these past few days, and with heat advisories in place, it doesn't look like it'll be going away anytime soon. Meteorologist Michelle Bosch joining us now from the Weather Center. And what do we know as we head into our weekend, Michelle?
We are not going to get any relief from the heat, at least through the weekend. In fact, temperatures are going to be at near record levels once again over the next couple of days. So here's how the weekend is shaping up. Saturday, we're looking at plenty of sunshine, highs once again in the low 100s, and we're going to do it again on Sunday. Very little cooling at night either. Overnight lows in the mid 60s, even lower 70s in some spots. Right now, still sitting at 85 in Spokane, 86 in Moses Lake, and 90 degrees right now in Lewiston, though it's cooled off to much more comfortable 68 in Sandpoint. Here's the temperature trend for this upcoming week. It's going to be a mild ride, but for those of you wondering, take a look. 80s and 70s for next week. So this heat wave will finally come to an end. The excessive heat warning does continue through Sunday though. So again, continued temperatures in the upper 90s to low 100s. Dry weather expected through the weekend as we got clear skies out there right now. Short-term forecast, clear skies overnight, sunny skies tomorrow. Temperatures in the mid 80s by 10 a.m.
Michelle, thank you so much. And wow, what a big difference what we could be seeing next week. But the heat is expected to continue through our weekend, and several cooling centers remain open across Spokane. Now, if you need help getting to one of those centers, STA is making it a little easier for you. STA is offering free rides if you're unable to afford the bus fare. All you have to do is tell the driver you're going to a cooling center and cannot pay the normal $2 fare. The Central, Shadle Park, Liberty Park, and Hilliard libraries will be open through Sunday with extended hours to provide an air-conditioned space for residents. The libraries will be open until 8 p.m. New tonight, an RV fire whose smoke could be seen from downtown Spokane may have been arson. That fire took place on West Sharp and North Madison. No injuries were reported. According to Spokane fire officials, the RV had been abandoned for weeks. Officials are investigating the cause but believe it could be arson. Now, this is a developing story and we'll continue to bring you the latest as we learn more. Moving on now to Nightbeat with a quick look at the day's top stories. A number of city organizations teamed up to send a letter to Spokane city leaders saying more needs to be done to protect people during this intense heat wave. 15 individuals and advocacy groups asked for some key solutions. One is to activate cooling centers when the National Weather Service forecast will be 85 degrees or higher for 2 or more consecutive days. Now, we reached out to the city for comment. In a statement, city leaders said, quote, SFD has received a total of 9 calls for service related to the heat since Monday, which is in the normal range. While we expect that to increase over the next 48 hours as temperatures are sustained and rise, we are not seeing significant increases at this time, end quote. A Spokane Valley firefighter is in the ICU after suffering a cardiac arrest while off duty. Firefighter Dan Patterson suffered from a cardiac arrest after going for a run at the end of his 24-hour shift. Fellow crew members performed resuscitative efforts before being transported to Sacred Heart, where he continues to recover. A GoFundMe has been set up in hopes of raising money in order to help with medical expenses. That GoFundMe can be found on our website at KREM.com. Well, as of today, Spokane Regional Health District's reporting their first presumptive case of monkeypox. Testing was done on the adult earlier today. However, SRHD says the patient was most likely exposed outside Washington state. Right now, SRHD is conducting contact tracing to identify anyone who may have had close contact with the patient. The department says the need for vaccines is being evaluated on a case-by-case basis. And that was your Night Beat. To learn more about any of these stories, just text the word NIGHT to 509-448-2000. We'll send them right to your phone. In news around the nation, workers at a Massachusetts Trader Joe's supermarket became the company's first to unionize. Staff at the Trader Joe's in Hadley, located about 80 miles west of Boston, voted to approve a union called Trader Joe's United. Workers from at least 2 other store locations have begun unionization efforts. In a statement, Trader Joe's said it's prepared to immediately begin contract discussions.
This is a very special day in the Congress of the United States that history will record as one designed to save lives.
For the first time in nearly 3 decades, House lawmakers passed a ban on assault weapons. Ahead of the vote, the Biden administration announced its support for the legislation, saying it will, quote, save lives. But Republicans accuse Democratic lawmakers of playing politics. The measure now goes on to the Senate, where it's expected to fail. The new 988 crisis helpline is now fully up and running. Yesterday, state leaders toured one of 3 call centers in Washington.
So Indigenous peoples now are going to have people who understand the culture and are going to be available to them to help with their particular needs. This is a community that as indicated, has had an increase in suicide rates, and we are making sure that they're going to receive culturally appropriate assistance.
Effort-Based Volunteers of America says its center saw a 47% increase in calls since the number took effect earlier this month. That's up 66% from the same week last year. Officials with the call center say they've been able to keep up with the increase in calls after hiring more than 130 people. Because of the pandemic, the original deadline for getting a real ID was extended, but now we're within a year of that deadline. Starting May 23rd of 2023, passengers flying out of Spokane International Airport will need to present a real ID to board their flight. Now, to be clear, a real ID is a law, not an actual piece of ID. This means starting on that date, anyone traveling by airplane will need an ID that extends beyond a normal driver's license. That could be a passport, a military ID, or an enhanced driver's license. And that was your KREM 2 News 10 at 10, where you get more news in less time. But don't go to bed just yet. Spokane County Sheriff's Office released new cell phone video to shed light on a drive-by shooting that took place during Hoop Fest weekend. We're back in just 90 seconds.